Today's show is sponsored by the Pittsburgh Opera, presenting the world premiere of Woman with Eyes Closed. Here's what you need to know. There's this gal named Mona. She realizes her son is an art thief who has stashed stolen paintings in her house. So she's got a decision to make. Does she give them back to the museum? Does she keep them? Does she turn her son in? Or does she destroy the evidence? This is all based on a real-life art heist, and Woman with Eyes Closed will keep you guessing until the very end. There are 5 performances, April 26th through May 4th. Learn more at pittsburghopera.org/woman. Hi, Yins. It's Megan Harris, and if you love CityCast Pittsburgh, I've got a way for you to get even more out of it, and that's by becoming a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. Neighbor is the new name for the CityCast Pittsburgh membership program. So when you become a neighbor, you're not just supporting our work, which thank you, you're also unlocking benefits that make being part of this amazing city even more fun and rewarding. Like access to our exclusive member-only events. We're thinking insider tours, volunteer meetups, even happy hours with other neighbors who love Pittsburgh like you do. So every Monday, we're going to send you a curated list of the best things happening in town that week, so you will always be in the know. You'll also have access to ad-free listening, so episodes in a special feed, and we'll give you a thank you here on the pod. Even a chance to shout out your favorite local business or nonprofit. And if you join this week, we'll send you a fun new coffee mug proclaiming your status as a bona fide CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. It is our way of saying thank you and making our morning chats feel even more neighborly. So head over to membership.citycast.fm today to become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. That's membership.citycast.fm, and thanks. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, a ton of people are still recovering from the big storm that blew through earlier this week. We've got the latest on recovery efforts, the return of a certain giant duck, some marathon lore, plus it is your very last day to become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor and get some free stuff for your support. I'm with CityCast Mallory Falk and one of our favorite contributors, freelancer Meg St. Esprit, to talk about some of the biggest stories of the week. It's Friday, May 2nd. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with executive producer Mallory Falk, asking you for one last day to please help us meet our goal of 65 new members. We are so close. We need 65 CityCast Pittsburgh neighbors.
And we've been talking all week about all of the great perks that you'll get as a neighbor. That's ad-free listening, a complimentary mug, invites to exclusive members-only events, including one in just a couple weeks here. But today, I really want to talk about the work that you'll be supporting as a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor, because when you join, you help ensure that we can continue putting out our podcast and newsletter every day for free for years to come. You know, we do not put our content behind a paywall because it is so important to us to provide what we truly believe is a public service, accessible local journalism. And we cannot do this work. We cannot keep putting this stuff out for free every day in your feeds without member support.
Yeah, it's really true. And, you know, I feel like we're in this moment where local journalism is more important than ever. I know you hear that sometimes, but it really is true. There's just so much happening at the national level right now. It's at a truly absurd pace. I joke with friends, but it's not really a joke, that it all sort of feels like a fire hose to the face sometimes since like 2015. But I think it's even more true now. It can just be really dizzying and bleak. So to me, one of the best antidotes to all of this is to focus on what's happening here in Pittsburgh, here locally, on a level where we know each other and people can get involved and really make a difference.
Yeah, and our goal really every day is to help you, our listeners, better understand Pittsburgh, better engage with Pittsburgh. If we have done that for you, if you've heard an episode that helped you make sense of some really complicated local issue, or maybe even put something on your radar that you just weren't aware of, We hope you'll consider becoming a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. If you cannot imagine waking up without a new episode of CityCast Pittsburgh in your feed every morning, and you really want to make sure that we are still here for you every day, please consider becoming a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. You can support our work for just $10 a month by signing up at membership.citycast.fm.
And we really are really grateful to everyone who has joined over the last couple weeks, like Nicole P., who perfectly summed up what I think we're trying to do here and what we hope that you're getting out of this show too. Nicole wrote, "I really appreciate your mix of local news and fun stuff. Now, especially, we need easy, fun ways to engage with local politics and our local community." She says she's recommended our individual episodes to people who want to know more about a subject, like who the candidates are or what's going on with housing in Pittsburgh, but maybe they just don't know where to get these easily accessible versions of that kind of thing. She says, "I think that's key. I love getting into the weeds, but most people don't. And I've loved having a resource that I can send to people that has this info they need. And I can also say, and it's got fun stuff to do this weekend. A spoonful of sugar helps the community engagement go down." Nicole, I want to print that on our next mug. That's really our end game. Every single day is trying to help people understand Pittsburgh better and care and get involved in whatever small way you can.
Yeah, so if what we're saying, if what Nicole says resonates with you, you want to keep us going and get all of those great perks we mentioned and even more, go to membership.citycast.fm. You can also just click the convenient link that's in our show notes. We made it really easy for you. And again, your support is really what's going to ensure that we can keep doing this every day and covering the next mayoral election 4 years from now, covering...
Let's not rush it.
After taking a beat. But yes, we want to continue to do this to serve the community in this way for a good long time. So please help us make sure that happens.
So on to the news. Meg St. Esprit, welcome. I have been thinking about you for days now, ever since that beautiful blonde Highland cow was briefly on the loose over at the north side.
Yeah, it wasn't too far from our house. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that you think of me when there's loose livestock in the city.
It's your beat, Meg.
It is. I mean, I grew up a horse girl, and it's really fun now because my niece is taking lessons and has a horse, and we get to talk horses all the time now.
Aww.
But I know, I love it. It's like a return to my roots. But I think I was first tasked with translating the horse world for you guys like 3 or 4 years ago when a horse got loose on the north side.
It was a while ago, yeah. You've done this several times.
Several times, because they keep getting loose. I mean, who knew that would happen more than once? Recently, I met someone in public, and once they heard my name and my voice, they actually asked if I was CityCast's horse girl. So when you're making those mugs, maybe I need one that says that too.
Maybe we should add some extra etching into yours, no doubt. I guess let's start off the week with it's getting better. It's getting better, but there was some bad news this week that so many folks are still dealing with right now. All these heavy storms that hit our region. I feel really lucky. I personally never lost power, but there were trees down all over my neighborhood.
Yeah, same here. I was very fortunate that I didn't lose power at all. But, my mom lost all of the groceries she'd shopped for just the day before. No. As of this recording, still does not have her power back. This has hit so many people. I know initially more than 250,000 Duquesne Light customers lost power. And as of this recording, many thousands still don't have that power back. Duquesne Light is saying it could take 5 to 7 days to get service restored for all of its customers. So this is really wreaking havoc in our region.
And also 3 people died as a result of this storm, and some folks are still digging out of it. So really, really strong winds. Looks like there wasn't any tornadic activity, but just like really, really rough on a lot of folks.
Yeah, I saw the Pittsburgh airport reported a wind gust at 71.3 miles per hour, which I guess is the 3rd strongest gust that's ever been recorded out at the airport. So this is pretty historic.
I mean, I believe it. We're in Bellevue, and my husband works in the south side. We thought we had a little bit of time before this thing rolled in, and then all of a sudden it just felt like our garbage cans were blowing and everything got dark. He decided to stay at work while I rounded up the kids, and we kind of hunkered in the middle of the house with the TV on. My husband could see a tiki boat from his office that was still on the water before the storm hit, and he was very concerned. And then I don't know if you saw the news, but it actually capsized during the storm.
I did see it only because of you, Meg. You were the
I
beacon in
texted
the
it
dark,
to you immediately,
letting me know that a tiki boat has in fact capsized in the storm.
Well, I thought it was notable because we've talked on the show before about how the tiki boat captains have performed some rescues because they're very small and maneuverable, which is a benefit when you're rescuing, but not so great in a storm. But
yeah, when you're caught out there.
Yeah, thankfully he swam to shore. Everything is okay, but that is a good lesson for us. Tiki boats in good weather, not bad weather.
I mean, I've actually booked the tiki boats twice. I've talked about that on this show, and they've canceled on me because of storms. And like, they give you an option initially when like they know that the storm's rolling in, and they're like, it's looking like rain. We can cancel if you want, full refund. And we were like, no, we want to go. We want to go full galoshes. And then like 30 minutes before, they're like, we are actually not going to go out. Yeah. We are personally not prepared. So full refund. Please don't come. Please don't hang out with us. I'm going to get to go on a tiki boat someday.
Someday. I haven't done it either. I've done the Pittsburgh pontoons, but not that. But other than that, it seems like, it's going to take some time to dig out. But it's been really nice to see community coming together, people offering up showers, places to charge things, putting breast milk in freezers. I've seen a lot of heartwarming stories despite the obvious sadness and loss there's been.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like kind of a cliche at this point of like disasters often bring out the best in people, but it is these moments where you realize like how fortunate you can be to be surrounded by neighbors and a more extended community that's willing to step in. I've seen all those same calls of like, hey, I've got space in my freezer. Hey, I've got outlets where you can come charge your phone. And on a larger scale, on a city and county scale, both Mayor Ed Gainey and County Executive Sarah Innamorato have declared disaster emergencies in response to the storm. Governor Shapiro was here joining Innamorato when she made her announcement.
And went to Fiore's, who lost their roof. So to like just
wild.
show support and get some attention. Yeah.
Yeah, and get some pizza. It sounded like he had a few slices.
Oh, were they still cooking? I didn't know.
Apparently, they were serving at least. I know Gainey and Shapiro were both there throughout the day. And, Shapiro, he said that these emergency declarations give officials more like flexibility and freedom to deploy resources. He said about 400 crews from different states have been called in to help restore power here. PennDOT is out making sure the roads and bridges are safe. I saw Duquesne Light post this video of trucks rolling in from Philly and Indiana to help. So really, like, there's a big response right now to try to get everything back up and running as quickly as possible, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, and not to make light of it, but I also saw like apparently this is hitting our pizza community especially hard because we've been talking a lot about Rockaway Pizza finally opening in Regent Square. And I guess they're going to have to push it back because they lost all their food, all the dough that they had made for opening day. Yeah. So we'll have to await a new opening day date now.
There's been a lot of restaurants talking about what they lost. I saw the Dairy Queen in Perrysville posted a picture of them trying to put gas in the generator with a flashlight to try to keep the food safe. I mean, it's a big loss for small businesses. I know.
Yeah, as if they need anything extra right now.
So let's support them when they're back open again.
Yeah.
Pizza and ice cream when they're back open.
Yeah, and just a couple like PSAs, obvious perhaps, but make sure you avoid down power lines if you see them. You can report down wires and other hazardous situations to Duquesne Light's emergency number, which is 888-393-7000. And then I know that a bunch of the city's rec centers and senior centers had been open as charging stations. Double check that by the time you hear this episode, but it did seem like the city was trying to make spots available for folks to come charge their devices if they had no other option. The Trib also did a nice job rounding up spots outside of the city where you can go, like libraries, municipal buildings. So we will be sure to drop that link in our show notes in case you are still out of power by the time you hear this.
Also, I just learned about this, but your home insurance company will sometimes reimburse you up to $500 for food that gets spoiled after a storm. So if you lost all your groceries, you can check your insurance policy. Some folks say if you tap into this, your rate might go up. So you probably want to check with your company. Maybe if you just put a cow in your freezer, it might be worth it. If it's just a week's worth of groceries, it might not be worth it. So kind of take stock of that.
Meg, you're such a country kid if you put a cow in your freezer.
I have a half a cow. I probably don't have a half anymore. I did have a half a cow in my freezer this year.
Look, I have invested in at least a quarter cow before I'm with you, but it's still a funny phrase to hear.
As the vegetarian on the call, this phrasing has really gotten to me.
Can take the girl out of the country, but...
Honestly. Mallory, take us into trivia.
Yes, so every week we bring you a little trivia question. You can play along and find even more questions on our website. So as we all know, Pope Francis died last week, and for a time he was laying in state in the Chapel of the Holy Spirit in the Vatican. I did not know this before. That chapel was actually designed by a Pittsburgh architect named Louis Astorino. He has designed a bunch of notable local buildings and spots here, like UPMC Children's Hospital, 3 PNC Plaza, and PNC Park. So the question for you this week is, what other sports facility did he design here in Pittsburgh?
I would say maybe one of the newer stadiums, like maybe Heinz Field, aka Acrisure.
I'm gonna go Highmark just because it's smaller and that feels like maybe, I don't know. PNC Park is like so pretty and big though. Once you've done PNC, can you ever do anything smaller again? I don't know the rules.
Well, we will have the answer for you after the break.
This episode is supported by Liberty Magic and its upcoming show, Malin Nilsson in Magic Unplugged. Magic is part of Malin's blood. She is a third-generation magician who's showcasing her skills as part of a laugh-out-loud and very theatrical performance. You'll experience handmade magic tricks, surrealism, and comedy, topped with raw onions and a pinch of confetti. If you want to see how raw onions fit into magic, well, you're just going to have to come catch the show for yourself. Malin Nilsson in Magic Unplugged is running now through May 4th at Liberty Magic, Pittsburgh's premier speakeasy that is all about the sleight of hand and elevating the art of magic. And if you're really adventurous, you should snag Skeleton VIP tickets. It gets you front row access and an exclusive meet and greet after the show. Get your tickets at trustarts.org/magic before they disappear. Today's show is supported by the Union Project and one of the city's coolest events all year long, the 2025 Mother of All Pottery Sales. It's all going down Saturday, May 10th from 10 to 4 in Highland Park, and you're going to see so many different kinds of pieces and styles. The artistry is just incredible. I've been looking at the vendors, and I have got my eye on these plates that incorporate stamped lace, which sounds like it might be dainty, except they also have bats and skulls on them. There are planters shaped like animals, mugs with all kinds of different fun, funky shapes, and some of them this beautiful bright glazing. There are jewelry and trinkets, sleek, earthy vases, and I am really digging these big, bright cereal bowls that sort of remind me of the smokier parts of the Appalachian Mountains. There really is something for everyone. More than 40 different ceramic artists will be there doing demonstrations, and you can even play with some clay yourself and sculpt a piece for the Union Project's temporary gallery. The Mother of All Pottery Sales is free to enter, but if you want extra shopping time and a smaller crowd, get yourself an early bird slot for just $20. That'll buy you an extra hour before the masses arrive at 11. Early bird shopping is truly one of my favorite forms of self-care. I cannot recommend it enough. Get your ticket and check out the full list of artists at unionproject.org.
Okay, we are back with your answer to trivia. And Megan, I'm sorry you both lose. You were both wrong. Architect Louis Astorino, in addition to designing PNC Park, he also designed PPG Paint's arena. At the time, it was called the Consol Energy Center. And this, of course, is where the Penguins play.
Okay, so my answer was wrong, but my reasoning was right. Like, I guess you don't do something smaller once you've done something huge.
I think it's kind of wild to have the talent to design something for the Vatican and also a sports stadium. Like, that's really a jack of all trades.
And a children's hospital.
Yeah, that's incredible. A beautiful children's hospital.
Actually, yeah, I think that might be the gem of the bunch.
I do really want to know if he's the one responsible for, like, when you go in that hospital, it's like, we'll see you now on the grape floor in the Cal section, which always makes what shouldn't be a delightful experience, like, a smidge more delightful.
It does. Everything there is just designed to make usually what is a not good experience or a not good reason for being at the hospital a little more enjoyable. I really appreciate them.
Well, speaking of Pittsburgh institutions, actually, and recent trivia questions on this show, the giant duck is returning, but not to Pittsburgh. I'm kind of sad that we don't get to see it on the Three Rivers again.
Yeah, so this giant rubber duck has been touring the world for, quite some time. The last time it was here
Several rubber ducks, though. That's the important bit. It's not just one duck.
There's not just one. Oh, okay.
There are many ducks. We actually had a smaller one when it was here. What was that, 2013?
Yeah, so it was 12 years ago. I remember taking my teenager to see it in his stroller. And so my other 3 kids have never seen a giant rubber duck, as far as I'm aware. But basically,
is life even worth living?
I know, right? Well, they're going to see one this year. We have passes to Idlewild. So it's going to be at Idlewild this summer, which is, not too far from Pittsburgh, part of the Kennywood Sandcastle family of parks locally. And basically, the point of these ducks is to just travel the world and bring some joy. Like, there's not really much else other than it's exciting and fun to see. People come pose for their wedding pictures by them. It's really something.
It's so neat. This time it's going to be on land too, so we can actually get really close to it.
Oh, okay.
The duck was really neat before, but it was on the river, and they had barriers around it.
Yeah.
So even if you had a kayak, you couldn't get super close to. You can get close, but you couldn't get super close to the duck. But this time you're going to be able to stand right next to it. I'm super excited.
Poke it. I want to. Yeah.
That makes me nervous, though. I was going to say, remember that friendly robot that was going to travel the world and I think just got beat to death outside of Philly or something? I don't want the same fate to befall this duck.
I mean, it's also going to be at a children's amusement park, so that part helps, I think. A little bit more entertainment news, I guess, and this one actually is in downtown. We finally broke ground on Arts Landing, so that's part of our efforts to get all gussied up for when company comes in 2026 for the NFL draft. So, God, 350 days or something from now?
Yeah, I went to the Cultural Trust season launch a few weeks ago, and that was the first time I had heard of this project. But I will say I was immediately excited because I think other comparable cities do have a venue like this. We just went to an event in Columbus Square in Columbus last week. And I just thought, our city is lacking this really central gathering space. Plus, it's going to be the first playground downtown. I mean, I can't believe there isn't one. But
is that true?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, that's what they told us. So I hope it's true.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we talked about this a little on the show last week, but in case you missed it, the plan, it's kind of going to be this big space that has a great lawn. There's going to be a little running track around it, just a really nice centralized space to hang out downtown.
Yeah, they were demoing the old Goodyear. If you are familiar with that, kind of driving along the riverfront there, that's where it's going to be. We always identify the new thing by the old thing. So something to look forward to as they get that up and running.
Let's go to the concert at the old Goodyear. Yeah.
One more thing for 2026, apparently. I'm sad about this one. The Point State Park fountain is not going to come on. They've just decided because of all these upgrades downtown, they're just going to keep the darn thing off all year. It kind of feels like someone just canceled a teeny tiny part of summer, and I hate it.
Yeah, that makes me feel really emotional.
It's also really, I always encourage people to visit Pittsburgh in the summer because, other times of year we're not at our prettiest. I think it's fair to say. And it's the most classic thing is to bring people to the point to sit at that fountain and catch up. And I'm sad that summer visitors won't get that experience this year.
Yeah. And I have to admit, when I heard this, I kind of was under the impression that someone just went and turned a faucet on. I didn't realize it. To hear that other things take away from the ability to do the fountain. I guess I oversimplified how the fountain works. I'm sure it's much more complicated, but it just felt really surprising.
It is actually enormously complicated. I remember one of my very first stories when I moved to Pittsburgh was about the fountain rehabilitation when it was off for years and years how they redid it and what it took to turn it back on, which was actually pretty hilarious because I think everybody was just out of practice for how the fountain worked. They cranked it up to full speed. It was so windy that day and the water drenched the governor, the marching band that was playing. People
incredible.
Were sprinting away. It was so funny. I had a flip phone at the time and I had just turned the video function off when that started to happen and I was just running away with everybody else. It was great. But Mallory, I do think you made such an astute point when we were talking about the story a couple days ago. You were just come on, is this the beginning of Pittsburghers getting the crap end of the deal while we try to make something better for visitors for 3 days a year from now? And I think that is so on point.
It's true. And my one addendum to that would be the hope is that all of these upgrades are going to benefit Pittsburghers in the long term. It's not the new Arts Landing or the upgrades to the fountains, the new lighting and walkways around it are going to disappear the moment the draft is over. But I am just worried about all these things that we love being shut down, affected in some way, inaccessible to us Pittsburghers. Yeah, exactly. To prepare for an event for visitors. I feel that's often what happens in cities is that trying to prettify them up for visitors causes a lot of inconvenience for the people who live there every day.
I do have to say, though, because I look at things through a tourism lens often because that's part of my beat that I like to write about. I totally agree. Hearing that the arts festivals moved, the fountains off, it feels what is going on? But I'm also a person that works well with a deadline. And so I get that the city kind of got like a deadline for their final paper for this semester, which is the draft. And they're going to work hard to get things ready for it. But I do think, these things are going to stay afterwards. And so I'm really hopeful that they're going to give our city some of the things I feel like other comparable cities have that we've kind of been lacking. So if the draft is what does it, it's a means to an end.
That's a great point, Meg, to look at the draft as kind of like spurring all of this work that might have been dragged out over a very long period otherwise.
Yeah, that's my hope, but it is going to be a weird summer.
So let's turn now to something that is taking over the entire city this weekend. It really kicks off in just a few hours. The Pittsburgh Marathon is back.
Woo! We'll be there.
I mean, do y'all actually like it? Do you go? Do you cheer?
We do.
Have you ever run it? Like, what's the vibe?
I love it. So I haven't run it. I'm not much of a runner unless, something's chasing me. But we do the kids marathon. Our kids do Kids of Steel. And we love to watch. Sometimes my husband runs it. He's not this year. We have friends coming in to run it. I get like emotional when people cross the finish line. Like I have cried. I think it's a great event.
Are you a finish line watcher then? Or do you like post up somewhere on the course somewhere?
We do both sometimes. So our church, Allegheny Center Alliance, is on the north side. So we actually cancel services and they have like a cheering station.
That's very cute.
It's really fun. And then once the race passes there, we can walk across the People Bridge to the point and like be by the finish line. So both. Yeah.
Well, and anyone who's listened to the show for a long time knows that I was once a marathon skeptic, and then we had a wonderful listener, Erin, invite us to come hand out Twizzlers to runners on the Birmingham Bridge, and it completely changed my relationship with the marathon. I love being on the sidelines now. Running, still not for me, but encouraging others and giving them a little treat on their way is a great way to experience the marathon.
I'm going to come get a Twizzler from you. As a spectator.
Which, I mean, actually is like kind of a magical experience. Like I've always been like kind of into running and things like it. My partner is a marathoner and has been over the years. Like I think I've done the half here. I've done the relay a bunch and I've done like support runs with people, which is great. Like, when they're on like
you're just like their encouragement?
Yeah, like when they're on like mile 20, 21, like when they get to like that big hill in Bloomfield, like the last one before they get to go downhill into the city, like to run with them, like the final like mile uphill when everybody's just like tanked and sad and regretting their life choices. And then you peel off before they get to the finish line so that they can have that big experience for themselves and like feel proud of themselves. But it just like helps them like get their energy back up for those last final miles. It's so much fun. It's so good.
That's awesome.
But I pulled up some fun facts just because I think it's interesting. Like people kind of forget, I think, because we talk about the marathon. There's actually 10 races that happen over the course of 2 days. So there's 45,000 participants total.
Wow.
The ages this year are ages 5 months. I assume
But
that's for the
5 months old
toddler.
Can't run.
I assume that's the toddler trot, but I'm not sure.
Just rolling their way to the finish line.
87 years. I mean, maybe the 87-year-old is pushing their grandchild. What do I know? There will be 300,000 spectators, 4,000 volunteers. And then I thought this one was just fun. Of course, the big culminating event, the half marathon and the marathon take place in tandem. But they said of the full marathoners, about 44% of them are running it for the very first time, which is just cool because that means that like some people who run a marathon, they may never do it again. Like it's a bucket list item. I've done it. I'm done. But that's like such a cool thing for like almost half of your people to be like have the high of like, I'm doing it for the first time.
I'm so curious how that compares to other cities. Like if this is a marathon that attracts a lot of first timers, though Pittsburgh seems to me like a very tough place to start out running in just because of our topography and our hills.
We have a lot of friends that come from other cities to run the marathon who are more experienced runners because it's a really challenging course. But for a new runner, it seems like a big task.
I mean, by the numbers, like we have a ton of locals. So I think it's like Pittsburghers and Pittsburgh regional, like people in our region are like, we're all used to the hills. So like if you start running here, like then you're kind of a badass. Like you can run anywhere, And like if you want to set a PR, find a flat course somewhere. Like the Presque Isle Marathon is fantastic. It's completely flat.
Also, this is making me let myself off the hook a little bit for not being into running. Now I can just tell myself that maybe if I grew up in a flat city, I would be like a hardcore marathoner. And it's just by virtue of being a Pittsburgher that I was turned off from it and not just like my own personal laziness.
I mean, I've never been a full marathoner, but like I learned how to run in a flat city. So like it definitely changed my relationship when I moved here and suddenly like, wow, this is a lot more challenging. By the way, if you want to be involved and like handing out meatballs in Bloomfield or Twizzlers
Meatballs?
in. Yeah, that's a thing. It's the meatball stop is incredible. We see you, Bruce. Appreciate you.
This might make me run a marathon. Like people are going to hand me
I think
meatballs?
it's great. There's like a group in the north side that hands out champagne shots. There's always folks handing out beers along it. Erin and her crew hands out Twizzlers in the south side or the bridge between south side and Oakland. Like there are like stops that people depend on year after year after year, which is just so cool. But if you don't have a spot like that you go to and you want to like hang out or be part of it, our friends at Yin's Run Club, who we talked to recently, they sent us over all their events that they're going to have. We have all of these in our events guide on our website, pittsburgh.citycast.fm. But I just wanted to shout out a couple. So they're doing a pre-marathon shakeout run tomorrow. And you can get special race goodies. And then on Sunday, they're all meeting up at East Carson and 21st Street. So they're going to be there from 7 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, just handing stuff out and cheering and like having a big party and like bringing the hype for everybody. They said they really want everyone to bring their best outfits, their best signs, and like a ton of energy to cheer everybody on. And then they're doing, I think this is so cute, y'all, a celebration of fatigue in the afternoon. So this is going to be
That is my speed. Can I go to that just for general fatigue?
They said everyone's welcome, whether you're running, you're not running, any of these events, you're more than welcome to come hang out with them. So that's from 2 to 6 p.m. It's sponsored by Nike and GNC. So like props to them for getting some like real money behind that. And they're going to do like some custom stuff like marathon posters and metal portraits, and they'll have like prizes and stuff. I just think it's all so cute. And I'm really proud of like the running community here locally for like getting this together and like supporting each other from within. It's just so neat.
And that's at Vellum Fermentation, which is really cool if you haven't been there yet.
Totally. And then my last note to everyone, even if you are not a runner, if you hate this, if you don't like crowds, you should still check out the marathon course and make sure you don't live right next to it so that you are A, not completely trapped if you need to be somewhere from like Friday night to Sunday morning. But B, make sure there's no like towing signs anywhere nearby because they will tow your car. I once had my car towed, y'all. And I was like, I always ask people all kinds of questions. So I was on a golf cart going to get my car. And I was like, when is it the worst? Like, what is the worst event in Pittsburgh when this whole towing lot gets full? And they were like, oh, by far the marathon. No question. Every single year, there will not be a single square inch of this parking lot that's not full because they tow so many cars that weekend. So PSA, make sure your car is taken care of if you're a driver. Today's show is brought to you by Aura Home. This Mother's Day, they say you can officially win the title of Best Gift Giver Ever while also sharing what's going on in your world in a way that'll stick with your loved ones for years to come. And the secret is their Aura frame, named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter. No exaggeration, all the mothers in my life have one of these things, and it's shockingly captivating. Like I'll walk into the family room for something, catch a glimpse of a perfect day out with my family, a cute picture of my little cousins, and one of my all-time favorites is this old video of the family dog pogoing behind the door for treats waiting for us to come inside. Every time this happens, I laugh because I did not mean to spend 15 minutes staring at this thing, but I did, and everyone in all of our households does this all the time. Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. For a limited time, our listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's Aura, A-U-R-A, frames.com. Promo code CityCast. Please support the show by mentioning us at checkout and get yourself a discount. Terms and conditions apply.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
So before we dive into what else happened in Pittsburgh this week, one more reminder that we are on the very last day of our 2-week spring membership campaign.
One of the best parts of this campaign has been hearing from you why you're choosing to become members and support us. And a theme we've heard from many of you is that this show makes the city more fun, more like one big neighborhood, one community. If you have been listening all this time and thinking like, yeah, but do you really need my support? Do you really need me? The answer is absolutely yes. We really do need you. Like we said at the top of the show, it is your support that's going to ensure that we can keep doing this for years to come, bringing you the news, bringing you important life hacks like making sure your car does not get towed on the busiest towing day of the year.
It's so important.
Please go to membership.citycast.fm to lend us your support.
And again, this is the last day. There have been some limited offer membership perks. Those do expire tonight. You can get a nice new black and yellow mug that tells everyone that you are a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. It's also your last chance to be entered to win a pair of tickets to the Heinz History Center's new Hidden History exhibit. I think all of us here today have been to that. It is really cool. And we think it does really kind of capture the best and weirdest of what Pittsburgh can be, which is exactly what we like to be too. We want to give that to y'all. We want to give y'all a chance to win that. But today really is your last day.
Yeah. And, do it for the perks. We're very proud of them, but also really do it to help keep this local journalism free and accessible for everybody. We want to keep bringing you episodes like today's Friday News Roundup. We want to keep bringing you our Hey Pittsburgh daily newsletter. We want to keep bringing you conversations about what makes the city so special and also where we need to get a little bit better. And so we need your support today to keep that work going.
You can become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor today, the very last day, for $10 a month. It really is your last chance. So please, please, please consider give this. You can also give it as a gift. Just go to membership.citycast.fm.
Again, that is membership.citycast.fm, or just click the link in the show notes.
So here's what else happened in Pittsburgh this week. I'll start off with some sports news. The Penguins, our hockey team, are ditching their head coach. His name is Mike Sullivan. We've had another dismal year. Usually we talk about the end of the season on this show, and I don't think we mentioned it once because we did not make the playoffs. A lot of our team is kind of old. It was just sort of hard to watch at the end. I don't know about y'all, but I found myself checking the score of the Pens game, not because I expected to win, for example, but because I wanted half off a Rusty Shake at the Milkshake Factory. And I just wanted to know if the coupon was available to me today,
So I will say I'm not a huge hockey fan, though, of course, I'm a fan of all Pittsburgh teams by blood and birth. But one benefit to them not doing well is that a lot of people are giving away tickets. So both of my boys got to go to a game with my dad. And they enjoyed it because it's always an experience, And one of them did get to see a winning game, but the other one did not. So.
But I don't know, growing up here, going to Pirates games, I feel like we're all very used to seeing losses. We're trained for that, unfortunately.
But the Penguins, not as much. The Penguins have been our bright spot for solidly a decade. And now that everybody's just older, it's kind of a bummer that all three have hit this weird level of mediocrity. For what it's worth, to be fair, Mike Sullivan was the coach when we won our last two Stanley Cups not that long ago.
He has the best record of any Penguins coach.
Oh, I didn't see that. That might be true. And sources say it was a mutual decision, but I've also seen headlines where it said he was fired. I don't know. But anyway, he's out. We'll see who's new and whether we get any new blood on the team. One other note about sports. Did y'all see the kerfuffle at the Pirates game this week?
Shocking.
It was so tragic looking. A fan fell over the Clemente wall. So that's the big green one, kind of beyond first base. It's 21 feet high because Clemente was number 21. But gosh, it looks rough. It looks like the Pirates had done something right, that it was a good play in the video, but then this person stands up and then just flops right over onto the field. It is horrifying.
It was hard to watch. Thankfully it seems like they got him medical care right away and hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, as of this recording, the last update was that he was in critical condition, so we'll definitely be thinking about him.
Yeah, the Pirates need all the fans they can get and in good health. So I hope he returns to the game soon. We'll turn to some good news, especially for music lovers. Club Cafe is reopening.
This is exciting to me because somehow I never made it to Club Cafe, even though I feel like it's such a Pittsburgh institution, this little gem on the South Side. So I'm excited that I didn't fully miss my chance to check it out.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple shows there. It is definitely an institution. I'm old and go to bed early now, so I don't know if I'll make it to any shows at the new reiteration unless
It
they
depends
do
on who they
matinees.
get.
Yeah. So, but
Matinee,
overall, it's
Meg,
good for the city.
matinee.
I know, a matinee rock show, something like that.
But they do have like different kinds of acts. If you're not familiar, Club Cafe closed a few months ago. I guess a new group of people are going to take it over. So no details yet about like when they're going to reopen or whether they'll have any jobs or what kinds of shows will be there. But yeah, wishing them well. It's always good to have an institution return, especially when it has not been gone all that long.
And the one detail I did see that like it's always been called Club Cafe, but this time around when it reopens, it actually will be both a club and a cafe.
Oh.
So it'll actually live up to its name, which is exciting. So Meg, there you go. Get your coffee to fuel you through the show, whatever time of day you land there.
All right, I'll go with you for your first visit to Club Cafe then, if there's coffee.
Well, I've got an update on a story that we've been following on the show. So we talked about this a little while ago, that earlier this month, some international students and alums at Pitt and CMU had their student visas revoked. This was part of like a larger process where thousands of other students all over the country had their visas revoked under a Trump administration crackdown. The update this week is that the administration reversed course and restored these students' legal status. This came after like a bunch of lawsuits were filed. So according to Public Source, the majority of students at Pitt and CMU and alumni had their legal status restored, but there's one CMU student who's part of this specific training program who hasn't seen their records restored yet, at least not as of earlier this week when the story dropped. But so we're definitely something we're going to continue to keep our eye on, how the Trump administration is affecting students and staff and research and everything at our local educational institutions.
Yeah, I think I saw a headline. I didn't get a chance to read the story, but something about how we've lost $45 million in funding at one college alone here in Pittsburgh. Like, that is just a staggering amount of money.
Well, and I know that our international students bring so much value to the city. So I really hope that they continue to write the course on this and make sure that students can finish their degrees and contribute important research to the world. A lot of it starts here in Pittsburgh, and it's just really devastating.
Yeah, and a little bit of a different kind of shakeup over at Chatham. So their president is leaving, Rhonda Phillips. She'd only been president for a couple of years, brought in to help turn around the school's financial problems. I remember when she first came in, I think the number we saw reported was $12 million, like the deficit that they had at the time. She's moving on to another college presidency, but it's not clear to me from the reporting that at least that's been posted this week, like whether that deficit was addressed. I can speak from experience that definitely their Eden Hall campus up north of the city has been struggling a lot. Like they shut down a dorm. Students were left without a place to live, like kind of on a dime, and told, well, you can live in Shadyside. And they're like, that's not where our classes are. So that was a whole
it's
thing.
also not necessarily the most affordable.
I know.
Area.
Right.
Yeah. And to do it with like literally days notice, it was right before classes started. It was just really infuriating for a lot of folks up there. And I think there's a big question mark about what's going to happen with some of their colleges within Chatham and other things and they've had unionization efforts with some of the faculty. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of questions over for Chatham.
Meg, what about you? What else have you been paying attention to this week?
I'm always thinking about family activities and ways to get out and about. So I've been thinking a lot about Remake Learning Days. They started yesterday and they run through May 23rd across the whole state.
We just talked about that, actually. It was part of our Guide to May episode.
Okay, yeah. So this year I got to be a part of getting the word out. I got to interview Secretary Redding. He is our Secretary of Agriculture in Pennsylvania. Phenomenal. I got to interview the Council for the Arts about all of these ways that essentially these great stakeholders in Pennsylvania are coming together to provide these free activities for families, individuals. So I know we're going to a Bird Town event in Bellevue on May 10th.
What is a Bird Town?
So Bellevue got designated as a Bird Town USA, which means we had to follow some steps to get this designation that we
Does it mean you have a lot of birds, or does it mean that you're nice to the birds that you have?
It means we're nice to the birds that we have. So
okay.
I think birds go wherever they want. They don't know about burrows, but we're nice to the birds in Bellevue. So part of Remake Learning Days is that we're going to learn about this, but there's so many events. There's art events. There's chances to learn about future careers, just a lot of really interesting things going on. And it combines all of my favorite things: learning, family time, and being free. So I would definitely check that out. And then the other thing we've been thinking about a lot is the ice cream season is starting. Now, obviously, we have a lot of ice cream shops that are open all year.
We have so many ice cream shops, but most of them, I would argue, are not open all year.
Right,
like we
they're
really
seasonal.
are we're in the moment. It's like right before Memorial Day where the sales are popping and the awnings are coming out. Like we're going to actually get like some proper good junk food and like cold treats. I'm so excited.
I can't wait. Yeah, we usually hit up Scoops in Bellevue because we could walk. They are open all year. But Millie's at North Park is dusting off their awning. And of course, iconic Pages. And I just learned that they dropped the Dairy Mart off of Pages as part of some rebranding. I heard this.
Why would you need to rebrand? That is an institution.
And also, Dairy Mart just makes it sound
like quaint and cute.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. They have cleaned up their act a little bit over there. Not that it was ever bad at all. It's just like they've got some new signage. Just like some of the paint's been refreshed. Yeah.
So, I mean, but if we're not calling it Acrisure Stadium, we're probably not going to drop the Dairy Mart. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Although, who in casual conversation said I'm headed to Page's Dairy Mart? Like, we were all dropping the Dairy Mart anyway. Well, speaking of scoops, CityCast Pittsburgh, we really have the scoop on the city. Apologies for the hokiness.
I love it.
But this is our final pitch, calling on you to become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor during our spring membership campaign. You have been hearing us talk about this membership campaign for the last 2 weeks, so no more procrastinating. Maybe you listen and you're like, oh, when the show ends, I'll head on over and do that, and then you get distracted and forget. There is no more time for that. You got to do it now. Head over to membership.citycast.fm to give this show some love, to become our neighbor. It is only $10 a month. That is not that much more than like one Pages Sunday a month, for example.
a fancy Pages, but yes, I'm on the same page.
Fancy Pages, yeah. A Pages with some Nancy B cookies crumbled up in there, for sure. But yeah, for just $10 a month, you really help ensure that we can keep this podcast going, keep our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter going for a good long while, keep bringing you the stories that matter most in Pittsburgh. You also get a complimentary CityCast Neighbors coffee mug. You get a bonus email every week, chock full of event recommendations. You get invited to events where you can hang out with us, including one coming up on May 15th. If you want that invite, this is your last chance to nab it. So head over to membership.citycast.fm to become a member and join our community.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Thank you to everyone who has joined during our membership campaign. And thank you to our newest neighbors, Matthew P., Alex L., Ashton L., Annie S., Nicole P., Christine M., and John V. Our music is by Benji, All the Kimonos, Sean Yukon, Mo Life, and Sven Lindvall, with additional music from epidemicsound.com. Mallory Falk is our executive producer. Sophia Lowe and Elizabeth Kama produce the show. Francesca DeBecco writes our newsletter. Kevin Gavin is our trivia master. And I am your host, Megan Harris. We will be back on Monday with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend, everyone. These old Pittsburgh houses, shutting one door blocks the Wi-Fi.